Maybe how important is a good response this week against West Coast after last week?
Yeah, a good response from the way we play is what we're looking for. It's been a long 9 days, to be honest, a Friday through to a Sunday game. They're always longer when you come off a performance that's not at the level. We didn't show ourselves last week, so we've reviewed. We've obviously made small adjustments around mindset more than anything. And when you look back over the game, it can look so far off, but we know that it's only small adjustments we need to make. And our mindset wasn't where it needed to be for that game. When I'd say mindset, it was about what we're focusing on. We didn't defend the ground as well as we needed to. It's something we've done well this year. Unfortunately, we didn't bring that on the weekend, and it affected us right across the game, transition, the whole part. So we've done some really good work this week, got some clarity around the way we play. I'm sure the guys will be really keen to get back out and make amends.
Why does that happen to mindset for a team that's had such great moments this year, and you talk about building, and you had such a flat night?
It's part of a journey when you're working with a young group. We work on a lot of things week to week. We're always trying to grow as a group, and so it might be in 2 6-day breaks where it's hard to train the contest. You want to work on a number of other areas of the game, and some of that might be the way you move the ball, some of that might be the way you defend. And over that 2-week period, we focused on a number of different areas, and unfortunately it took our eyes off exactly what it was we do really well. And unfortunately on the big stage, we got it wrong. Small adjustments will be made. We trained Thursday after we'd made those adjustments, and I'm sure a number of you would have been out there at training. The intensity was up. They really enjoyed it. They got back into getting their hands dirty, and hopefully we'll see that Sunday. I'm sure we will.
Tex and Lynch, you be out there on Sunday?
Yeah, they're two guys that we at this point expect to be right to go. Tex, obviously we were keen for last week and he didn't quite get himself right. Tommy Lynch is now off 2 games at SANFL level. Was really influential last week. Showed that he's got some class and some composure that's probably missing at this point in time in our AFL side, and so he'll add to that, both from what he is able to do when he has the footy in hand, but also what he does off ball as far as making sure that our mindset's right and our focus is where it needs to be. He'll help us forward of the ball.
Does he have to tick any final box, like get through tomorrow, or is he pretty much
there? Oh, everyone does. Everyone needs to get through tomorrow's session, so that's where we're always mindful of locking in and saying he'll play. But at this point, Tom Lynch he's fit. His body feels good, and he'll be putting his best foot forward. Right now he's keen to play some footy and show what he's got, over the last 6 rounds of the year.
You said a few weeks ago regarding his and someone else's contract situation, you want to see him play a bit of footy. So what does playing a bit of footy in terms of him getting a new contract look like tangibly as he goes?
And there's a lot more involved than purely just what Tom does on the footy field. There's what he adds off the footy field as well. So there's a number of other factors around our list, what we're going to pick up in the draft, how many spots we've got available. But from Tom's point of view, he'll be really keen to get out, show that he's an important part of our team, that he's going to help us grow and develop as a young group. He'll also want to put his best foot forward and play some good footy for himself. Show himself that he can play the game at the level again. He showed that last week. We went down to Victor and had a look, and he was well above the level. So we're really confident he'll come back and put a good performance out there. The other one we spoke about was Matty Crouch, and so he'll play his first game back in the SANFL this weekend. He'll be on limited game time, but in saying that, we'll look to get that over the 4 quarters v North Adelaide. And I know you're going to see a pretty eager individual out there on the weekend. If he's training on Thursdays, anything to go by, he's red hot. He's ready to play some footy. And similar to Tommy Lynch, but a slightly different scenario, we just want to see Matty play some footy and show us that he can get back to the level that he was playing at before he went out with injury, and has gone through quite a challenging time. But we're confident he'll do that. He pulled up reasonably well from Thursday, and it's going to be one of those ones where he'll get better and better the more footy he plays.
1 or 2 in the SANFL, or you don't know that really?
Oh, if we're being realistic, I mean, we've had that conversation already. I think even Matty's keen to play a couple at SANFL level. You want to make sure you're right to go, and that step up, from a match fitness point of view is the main part. he looked really polished in the match practice on Thursday. So we're confident he's got a fairly strong base under him, but it'll be about get a full game at SANFL level, which is slightly shorter than AFL, and then he can be confident in himself, we can be confident. And it's also then about finding the right place for him to come in. He'll come in and play midfield when he's shown that he's ready to play at AFL level. We're not going to guarantee that after 2 games, but I'm pretty sure Matty's got the ability and the history behind him that he will show us he's ready after 2.
Billy was pretty good. Oh, sorry, you go.
Can I just ask one more, Lynchy? Sorry. Are you personally, I know you're not the be-all and end-all list management, but are you personally of the view that he's someone you'd like to have at the football club next year?
Yeah, look, I think Lynchy sits in a similar category to Tex and Matty. These are guys that we want around our footy club. The experience that they have is something that you don't just have in a jar in your desk. And Tommy Lynch is the ultimate prioritising others. That's his strength. That's his weapon. He does it, off field as good as any I've seen. So for him to be around the footy club is something that I'd love to have as a coach going forward. Now, whether that's as a player, whether that's as a coach in some description, whether that's both, that's something we'll look at over the coming months.
Have you spoken to him about his playing future?
Yeah, we speak regularly. Yes.
So he hasn't been told he won't be here in a playing capacity?
No, hasn't been told that, and it's been very much around, as I've said to you guys right throughout the year, there are so many factors in these decisions. It's not purely about Tom Lynch and his football ability. It's also about our list and our development and our growth. What's going to be best for our group? How many guys are we looking to pick up in the draft this year? What selections we'll have? And we don't know a lot of that until, well and truly after the season finishes. But again, he'll put his best foot forward. He'll play his best football he can. He'll continue to be Tom Lynch off field, as a leader, and that decision will look after itself.
So is he struggling then for a spot? Doesn't sound like he's guaranteed.
No, there's no guarantee for him, and we've been reasonably open and honest with him about that. But the word struggling is not right. I mean, if he plays good football over the next 6 weeks, we sit down and we talk through it and we find ways to, if that's the best thing for our footy club going forward, and Tom Lynch is part of that, we find a way to get it done. But again, so many factors involved.
Billy played a bit last count back. I know this
Yeah.
thing had gone out of the game a bit. Is that something you look to explore a bit more this week and beyond?
Yeah, we will, and if we're being open and honest, which we are with Bill, we probably haven't quite seen the level we're after it forward of the ball at AFL level. We've seen it at SANFL level that he's shown that he's stronger this year. He's able to kick goals at SANFL level, but we haven't seen that. I think he maybe knocked 2 goals through across this season. We need more than that ahead of the ball. It's the ruthless part of the industry we're in. We also see the way he uses the footy. He's a very good ball user. He's got the physicality. He's got the mindset that maybe we could have a look down back. And so it's something we'll, if we talk about adding a string to his bow and maybe the possibility of something going forward, we'll explore it. He's open to that. He's engaged, and there's a chance, we could look at him down back at times. But again, I'll come back. We need that performance to lift ahead of the ball. And that's a right across the squad at the moment. Excuse me. You'd probably say Tex this season has performed at the level and some. We've been looking for a little bit more from some of our other key forwards, and we've talked about playing that squad and trying to get the right mix ahead of the ball. There'll be some changes again this week. Obviously, we talked about Lynch coming in, but we'll get some experience back this week that we didn't have in Friday night. Will hopefully help our game overall, not just scoring, but also keeping that ball in our front half.
Darcy,
well, Darcy's in the mix, yeah. So as I said, a little bit more experience back. Darcy's still a young player. He's still learning the game himself. Really like what we saw from him on the weekend down at Victor Harbour. And again, he went in and pinched on ball just to get himself and inject himself into the game and made a real difference. It's a step up when you come up to AFL level, and especially when you go up against West Coast. And we've got their ruckman playing his 200th, who's a superstar of the game. Got some incredible on-ballers and experience around that. So the challenge is there, but he's in the mix for sure.
What have you made of your skippers form over the last few weeks?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because I know he gets judged on what we see in the TV screen. There's a lot more to the game than that, and we've asked him to adjust his role slightly. Have we taken him away from the midfield a little too much? It's something to put my hand up as a coach and say maybe it might be better for him to get him back in a little bit more. He is a barometer for us in there. When we're going well, he's diving on balls and he's making tackles and so on. That may have been the fact that we're playing him in a slightly different role over the last sort of 2 or 3 weeks. He'll get back in there a little bit more this weekend. So I understand the outside perception of what people are seeing, but we'll get him back inside a little bit more this week, and hopefully he can show him at his best.
Filthy had a little fluoro number out there yesterday. Is he okay? Named on an extended bench?
Yeah, he's one that, and this is where we're not necessarily locked in, and we won't until a little bit later tonight. He's a little bit sore at the moment. He's copped a knock, and has played a little bit sore through Friday night. So he'll never admit that, but as a coach, sometimes it's nice to stick up for your boys. He pushed through on the weekend. Obviously, we had Tom go down, with his substantial knock. That was our sub, so we didn't have the opportunity to get him off the ground. But that's one we'll look at. I think he's played 11 games this season. He's had some really good moments in amongst that. I think we've all seen the potential that's right there. We've had probably we've been a little bit off as far as our ability to compete ahead of the ball, and the opposition have marked a fair bit on us over the last month. We may give Riley a little bit of a rest this weekend, but again, we'll wait until a little bit later this afternoon and make sure the others things fall into line before we do that.
And so where's Mackesy at if Frampton's been considered as a key back and to replace Duday if Mackesy's not in the frame for that position?
Yeah, good question. I mean, Fish has played both ends. If you remember last year, he debuted down back. Then we tried him forward of the ball for a little bit. He's shown in a lot of his under 18 and junior football, he's played a fair bit of footy forward of the ball. Again, we start to look at things we're trying to shape up for the future and more medium longer term. There's a chance we start to have a look at Fish forward of the ball if we are going to switch Billy. And these are not guarantees. These are things we will start to look at an SANFL level. He trained ahead of the ball. You may have noticed on Thursday as well. And we know he's got that ability to attack the footy. So, with 6 weeks to go, 5 weeks at SANFL level, it might be something we have a look at and just see. We go into the break with maybe a few players that can play both ends of the ground.
Is that Fish not clicking as a defender then? To sort of make that call in round 17 or whatever it is?
No, not necessarily. I mean, Fish at the moment, you'd say Butts is sort of taken that key back role. We've seen Murray probably just a step ahead of him, and Murray brings a slightly different dynamic to our back line. He's an athletic, can get around the ground, play a slightly different matchup. For Fish, it's not all about the fact that he hasn't worked on his defensive game. We feel like he's made some real good progress in that. It's now like, okay, 5 or 6 weeks to go. Can we have a look at possibly something else where Fish could be, a dual threat when it comes to, he's ready to go at AFL level. And I thought we saw enough last year when he played at AFL level forward of the ball that there is something there.
Do you watch South Adelaide much?
I do watch South Adelaide.
What do you know about Jason Horn?
Well, I know he's going to be reasonably high up in the draft. Outstanding player. I mean, he's obviously, to play at the level he's playing at the moment and perform the way he is, I think Darcy took him on at one point during the game, and I had a light smile on my face and said, well, if we can bring him down, he embraces the contest. Oh, look, he's a fantastic player, and he's going to go high in the draft. How high is yet to be seen.
Can you get up there to get him?
Look, we'd love to keep, the best South Australians in the state. There's no hiding the fact we love him. There's a number of others in the draft too. We went and watched the Vic Metro, Vic Country game on Friday in Melbourne, and some of the talent that's getting around on the ground down there was top shelf. So the draft's the draft. It shapes itself over the coming couple of months, and then decisions are made around what you need in your side. But there's no hiding from the fact that Horn's a fantastic footballer.
Have you heard anything about reduced crowd at Adelaide Oval? Any idea there?
I've heard a little bit of talk about it, and things seem to be changing every minute. As we do, we're ready for whatever comes. We're glad to be playing at home at this point. and we just fingers crossed that doesn't change in the short term, because getting at home, playing in front of our home crowd, it's a huge lift for our young group. So that's something we just hopefully we can lock in and get Sunday's game away.
All good, guys?
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Tom.